This play is a prime example of why this team should be good. You have Jordan Addison at the top of the screen and Jettis in the slot. And as this play develops, you'll see Addison run this deep curl route, which will occupy the DB on that side. And Jettis is running a post over the top. And since the young receiver is talented in his own right, he creates a huge opening for an easy completion of Jefferson. But the key word I mentioned was should. Instead, the Vikings are sitting at 0-3 and they're looking like a completely different team than the one from last season. Last year, this team was 11-0 in one possession games, while this season they're already 0-3 in those games, losing all 3 games by a combined 13 points. While already racking up 9 turnovers through 3 games, their 7 lost fumbles are tied for the second most through 3 weeks of football since 2000. And Kirk only has 2 interceptions, but they've been costly ones. But of course, Kirk Cousins gets the blame, but his defense isn't offering up much help either. Through 3 games, this defense comes in at 27th in the league, giving up a whopping 382 yards per game. But that's no excuse, because they lost to a Chargers defense that gives up 450 yards per game. In Kirk Cousins' best statistical seasons, his defense is ranked 28th, 28th, 14th, 27th, and 30th. And just last season when they finished 13-4, his defense finished 31st throughout the league. Now it's still entirely too early to tell if any team is doomed or not, but history isn't on Minnesota's side as only 5 teams have ever started 0-3 and went on to make the playoffs. But now it's time to transition into the reasons that this team could potentially turn things around. First things first, Kirk Cousins is playing at an extremely high level with arguably the most talent he's ever had at the receiver position. Kirk is leading the NFL in passing yards with 1,075, leading the NFL with 358 yards per game, while also leading the NFL with 9 touchdowns, and coming in at 3rd in QBR. Quite the resume to be leading a team with no wins. This offense's total yards placed him at 3rd place throughout the league, and plays like this are a huge reason why. First off, the formation just already seems like a lot to deal with. KJ Osborne at the bottom of your screen, Jettis in the slot, and Addison out wide. And if I pause it here, you'll see that Jefferson is always going to draw the extra defender, which will leave these talented receivers with one-on-ones all game. What's really important to remember about this wide receiver room is that everyone's a weapon, and bringing in Addison allows Jettis to move into the slot, which multiplies his route tree by 1,000,000. But earlier I showed the gravity that Jordan Addison had as he helped free up Justin Jefferson, but now it's Jefferson who's freeing up Addison. This is the guy to watch on this play, because remember when I said Jefferson will always get the extra defender? Well, here Jefferson runs a deep out, while Addison comes over the top with a skinny post. And just a half second of a false step by this DB gives up a huge 40-yard touchdown. But possibly the biggest hindrance to this Vikings team is the run game. We all knew that losing Dalvin Cook, who rushed for 1,700 yards last season, was going to be a huge blow. But I don't know if we seen this coming. In the first game, Alexander Mattison rushed for 34 yards on 11 carries. And in week 2, he followed that up with 8 carries for 28 yards. And through 3 weeks of football, this run game comes in at 31st throughout the league, only averaging 66 rushing yards per game. So if we recap, the Vikings are 0-3, their defense currently ranks 27th, and their rushing attack currently ranks 31st. The one and only bright spot for this team so far is the air attack, which ranks 3rd. Now Mattison was able to put together an impressive week 3, finishing with 20 carries for 93 yards. And with all the talent on the outside, you need to be able to at least keep the defense honest with the run. Because when you do, things start to open up a lot downfield. I still believe the best concept for this team is to just simply get Justin Jefferson the ball. Simple and plain. Great things happen when number 18 touches the ball. And just like his QB, Jettis is dominating at his position, coming in at 3rd in receptions, but number 1 in yards, while leading the NFL with 152 yards per game and coming in at 11th in yards per catch. But that stat is skewed a little bit because some of the people ahead of him only have 3 total receptions. So he's practically leading the league in yards per catch as well. So moral of the story, 18 is really good. Throw it to him. The trust the Vikings have in him is evident if you see how many times they come out with only 2 receivers. 2 receivers in a play action means somebody has to get open. And here on this play, the Bucs run man, but the Vikings have the perfect play called, as crossing routes will always help you beat man defense. And this route here is just a beauty, as Jetta takes an outside release and then gets back vertical before he fakes hard outside, losing this defender and essentially beating the bracket this defense set on him. But don't let his big play downfield ability fool you. He can also turn an ordinary play into an extraordinary play, like he did as he housed this slant for 52 yards. And let's not forget about the rookie Jordan Addison, who's off to an outstanding season, with 13 receptions for 185 yards and 2 touchdowns, while also averaging 14 yards per catch. The game is easy for him since there are so many options offensively. Like here, it's just a simple bench concept with him running an out route and Jetta's running a deep out over the top, just putting all the pressure on this corner and allowing Kirk to make a decision. While this play here speaks to the multiple weapons at the wide receiver position, and it's actually Addison with the assist. Osborne's going to score the touchdown on this slant route, but the key is Addison over the top clearing this area out. Through just 3 weeks of football, several teams have performed well below expectations, with the Vikings leading the pack. And rather it's the almost kind of plays, or costly turnovers, or having 4 tries and being unable to get any one of them in the end zone, whatever the reason may be, it has the Vikings sitting at 0-3. And I wouldn't quite say that this team is doomed, but this Sunday they have the Panthers on the road. And if they lose this game to a bad Panthers team, then yes, this team will be doomed. Leave in the comments if you think the Vikings will get it together and it's just a rough start to the season, or if this defense and losing Dalvin Cook is just too much to overcome. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check this video out as well, which is all about a guy you all like to call wide receiver 1. Peace.